Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of The Building Blocks. I am Vivek.
I am Monali. And today we have with us Divya, who is a Group PM at Tata 1mg.
So Divya, what we have got to learn is that you handle multiple products. उसमें से एक piece which you have is the payments. So and अभी हम लोग जिस innovation जो फेस चल रहा है, everywhere we heard about payments because जितने भी apps हैं इसमें payments आ रहे हैं. So we will be talking a lot about payments and we are hoping to learn new things about payments. We as well as our audience.
Unless you have a favorite among the things that you handle.
No, I think good with payments. Yeah, we can start.
Great. So before we jump into payments, let's just understand like how you landed up at 1mg and how your product journey have been.
Interesting. So I think I initially started out as something in growth road, but then I learned that you have to enter into core product space to actually do things which is going to affect the business. So that's how I landed in product. Previous to this, I was working with Travel Triangle. There also I worked on a couple of products. And then I came here in 1mg and have been here since the last 3 years.
Okay, one doubt. You mentioned about growth. So what's growth exactly? And we heard about growth PM as well. फिर growth भी होता है. Then there is a growth operations. What's this growth exactly?
Different permutations and combinations.
Right. I think it depends upon business to business how they have defined it. How I see it or how I was working initially was a couple of marketing strategies and a couple of product optimizations that I was doing. And it was mainly around, how do I optimize the ads that we run? How do we reduce the CAC? So things on those fronts, which essentially led to in some format, growth of the company or finding new growth initiatives. Those were first led by marketing and then they later shifted to product. So that's how it was. You experimented with something, you made some hypothesis, and when it looked more conclusive, you said that this is more of a thing which product as a core team can handle. So that's how the growth role there was. But I believe that's different at different places.
Got it. So it's mostly like the experiments wala phase that growth pod is doing, and then you can probably productize.
Right.
Got it. So how have been the 3 years at 1mg? What all products you handled, and then now payments, how payments are looking?
So I think to summarize, it has been a great experience, very enriching experience in terms of learning, new revelations that keep happening even now. And definitely when I worked on product, it took me time to understand where it was when I joined and what are the things that we needed to do, and there's some place where we are right now. So that journey has been quite learning, and it has been good for, I believe, good for the company too. So yeah, overall it has been good.
So Divya, when we talk about payments, like what have you been doing in payments at Tata 1mg? Like what does it consist of?
Right. So I think again here also there has been a journey in the last 2-3 years that I have been looking into it. When we initially started out, we figured out that there were some fundamental core problems that we needed to first fix.
Within payments?
Within payments.
Okay.
Yeah, because as an organization, whenever there is payment, there are a lot of other stakeholders. So you have to ensure that the connection between them is very smooth. And so first we were, fixing a lot of things which were fundamental to ensuring that we always have a consistent and a smooth experience. I think then we focused on making the experience more better for the user, be it in terms of communicating to them that what is happening to their payment status or what happened to their refund, or the entire journey which came in right from when they wanted to opt for a payment method to finally when they completed a payment and then they landed back on 1mg. And the last and then we moved to say how do we optimize for growth, how do we ensure that the payment success rate keeps ticking up, and how do we increase retrial, how do we improve it? So even if you are improvising the experience, it adds to the growth bit. So yeah, now our focus is a little shifted to how do we increase, how do we enable more growth in payments as a part.
Interesting.
Yeah.
2-3 things that you mentioned. First is around the stakeholders. So,
Right.
like, can you double down a bit on this? Ki what are these stakeholders? कौन लोग involved होते हैं? Like, we keep on hearing some words कि payment gateway कुछ होता है, then banks भी involved हैं. But
Right.
ये पूरा ecosystem चलता कैसे अभी?
So I think जब आप पेमेंट पेज पे आते हो किसी भी ई कॉमर्स वेबसाइट पे यू सी अ लॉट ऑफ पेमेंट ऑप्शंस विच आर
Right.
देयर ईदर यू कैन यूज वॉलेट और यूपीआई और कार्ड्स और इवन कैश ऑन डिलीवरी एंड उसके पीछे हाउ आर दोज ट्रांजैक्शंस एक्चुअली टेकिंग प्लेस सो यूजुअली कंपनीज पार्टनर विथ अ पेमेंट गेटवे एंड हर पेमेंट मोड का एक अलग पेमेंट गेटवे हो सकता है. इट डिपेंड्स अपॉन हाउ यू वांट टू स्ट्रक्चर योर एंटायर पेमेंट पीस. Some companies also probably operate and have their own PGs also, but yeah, that's something which is not done by all. So you have a PG, and that PG which is the payment gateway, it enables the payment which is happening, and it talks further to Visa, MasterCard, and there is a supporting bank which is there with which they have a tie-up, and that banks essentially supports these PGs to ensure that the transaction takes place. So these are the different stakeholders. So you have the PGs which are there. Sometimes there are now companies also running who are sort of a wrapper of over these PGs. For example, JustPay, right? So some companies also enable that so that they just have this one layer of connection between the PGs and themselves, and whatever new features are coming on the PG or whatever new experience is available, they sort of aggregate it for all the payment methods. So people might choose it because it makes their lives a bit easier, that they do not have to do multiple integrations every time whenever there is something happening.
Got it. तो पेमेंट के साथ एक सपोर्टिंग बैंक भी है.
Right.
फिर पेमेंट उनके पास जा रही है, फिर हमारे बैंक्स में जाती है. देन हाउ डज दैट ट्रांजिशन वर्क?
So पहले पेमेंट्स जब हमारे इससे जाती है तो there is PG. PG talks to the issuing bank to check if there is sufficient amount available. If there is, they transfer it to the acquiring bank, which is the PG's bank in this case. And after that, sorry, not the PG's bank, it is our bank, the merchant's bank. And after 1 or 2 days, the settlement actually takes place
Achha.
between the PG and the merchant.
So Divya, you also mentioned that you are working on, making the consumer journey a little better. So do you see any particular trend or change in trend in the customer behavior? Like, I think there was a time when we used to carry wallets, carry cash. Like, I don't think I carry cash anymore.
Right.
So, are people using net banking, the traditional methods, or have people shifted to BNPL? Are people even comfortable with something like BNPL? Do they understand it? Have you seen any change in trend?
Yes, matlab definitely, as we speak of it, I think when we talk about the entire payment journey and how it
Right.
started. So initially there was something like just PayPal, which brought a revolution in how e-commerce operated,
Right.
and that's when people started transacting online. And from there, when we talk of today, there have been multiple innovations which have come in payment. When you talk about India particularly, before the digital wallet space started growing up between 2010, and before demonetization there was adoption and there was usage, but as we all know it, demonetization caused a huge spike in digital wallets and UPI. And after that we saw another shift which came in COVID, and that's when cash transactions actually they declined a lot. So if you just go by some reports, you would hear that even at retail stores, the POS which is there, in 2019 it was somewhere around 70% of it was cash.
Right.
But now it is just 30%. So that kind of behavioral shift with the coming in of UPI and other digital wallets have massively changed the way payment as a system operates in the ecosystem. And you also talked about buy now pay later.
Right.
So those concepts also. So I remember for e-commerce, just before 2 years, probably the penetration was 3%. And now there are some 10-12% people who actually make payment using BNPL. So the trend has obviously changed, and it will keep evolving, and probably the cash would even go more down in the coming years. It might not vanish for obvious reasons, but yeah, there has been a huge shift.
So इसके अंदर do you see कि when we are transacting digitally, तो एक वो कहीं anxiety है क्या यूजर के अंदर कि यार पैसा कट रहा है, not probably today but earlier it was there, क्या कहते हैं कि why I should make that online payment because we always have been इनके घर पे आ जाएगा तब दे देंगे. So like two parts to it. One is कि should I make that online payment, and second is कि यार payment होगी, is that secure, पैसा कहीं और चला जाएगा, तो how do you solve that thing?
True. I think probably it's something which is getting solved industry-wide. So it's not, people are getting used to making online payment. They are getting more comfortable with it. They have started using it. And the superior experience which it brings in sort of leads to us using it more. So I think anyone who starts transacting online never goes back to cash, right? Like probably we would never go back to standing in a queue in ATM and then taking out money and then making the payment. So I think we are paying for that convenience. We are we are not even paying. We are essentially, if it is something which is so convenient, we would easily want to transition to that. But yes, there are still certain set of users. So when you talk about tier 3 users, for example, the percentage of COD users are more in such cities. So it is always going to be the case, and it would take them some time to reach somewhere. So if today 50% of them are using COD, probably after 3-4 years that number might just go down to 20-25%. It would be a slow shift where each section of the users start transacting online. And it would not just be us who would be bringing that change. It would be the entire ecosystem. Retail store pe there is QR code. So I think all of that is making a behavioral shift in how users make payment.
Interesting. So sir, just building upon this, if you feel like people out there have to get into that tier 3 wala, there are some key problems which you have identified that ये solve करेंगे तभी tier 3 के अंदर we can probably increase the penetration.
Right. So I think in terms of how do we increase adoption digitally, so one of it is obviously very industry-led things. So the more and more retail stores may you start seeing QR code, you might just want to try it out once. For a company or an e-commerce company who's trying to ask their users to transact online versus not use cash, that may be a little difficult to crack. You may incentivize them, that is one way of doing it, which may lead to some amount of growth, but then that anxiety that they still contain inside themselves, that I don't want to be paying because I don't trust. What if the order does not reach me? It would take some time to...
Sorry to cut you, Divya, but at the brick and mortar stores of Tata 1mg, do we have QR codes? Are we promoting that behavior?
Yeah, we do have. And yes, even like at all stores, it's also there at Tata 1mg. Yeah.
So just doubling out on the bit that you mentioned about tier 3 wala. So what advice would you like to give to the people who are thinking कि tier 3 के अंदर कैसे penetrate करना चाहिए, और some key problems that you have identified कि यार ये करेंगे तभी tier 3 में कर पाएंगे, otherwise it's very difficult.
So yeah, I think like I spoke, it is not just one company's set of initiatives that is going to bring in the change. You have to sort of change their payment behavior, and payment is something that they keep doing across the day, right? Like even we make at least 2 to 3 transactions a day. They make similar transactions probably at retail store and not just everything online. So bit by bit that set of users would be sort of coming in and trying out online payment. With the penetration of UPI, obviously a lot of those users have started transacting and using UPI. How do we... And it is also actually a factor in of even if they start making payment, they might not have trust on the business, and they still have that anxiety that they don't want to make a payment and commit to it because they are afraid that what if the orders are not received.
Right.
So there also it comes key, if they actually order via COD, but at the end they might just end up paying online because of the options which come at doorstep. trust issue, and we also see a shift in behavior. So when it is a new user, they use COD more, but as soon as they start transacting more with us, that percentage of COD goes down.
Right.
So that trust issue gets solved even if once they start transacting online. Still, some of them might not just want to transact online and would only feel comfortable. I think for those set of users, there are a few things that we can try it out in some ways. It could be incentivizing. Okay. And the more and more they start using other e-commerce platform, you would start observing the change in that behavior and slow shift in them transacting online.
So trust and anxiety is one thing we know that is an issue.
Right.
But apart from that, have we done anything to understand that what exactly is there, like other pain points? Like obviously you're not at home, you don't have to be at home to make the payment if you actually pay online. But is there any kind of behavior that we have realized, like apart from trust and anxiety, is there anything else?
I think it's also about first is the order is reaching them, and then if they want to actually return it, then also they get a little anxious that how quickly will I get my refund? Would I get it instantly? Would I receive it after 2 days? And then there would be some form of anxiety that I should essentially receive it in my account within 2 days. So that factor is also there, wherein they are a little more concerned.
So ये return refund वाले के अंदर do we have a say, और इसमें भी PGs वगैरह का चलता है कि 5 दिन में ही होगा, 7 days के अंदर ही होगा?
No, we have, so it's mostly industry driven, yeah. For UPI it almost happens instantly. Even the payment to instant hota hi hai, even refunds are almost instantaneous. Credit card it takes longer. Wallets are also something where refund usually happens in 1 or 2 days. Most of us might just observe it happening immediately, but in some cases might take longer, but the average duration is lesser. So yes, for each mode of payment that duration is different, and now there have been various options which have coming up, which includes instant refund, which is nothing but essentially IMPS transfer. So as soon as you as soon as there is a refund which is initiated, instead of transferring back via refund, you just do a transaction, IMPS transaction, and that's how the customers receive it. So people are solving it in various ways to actually reduce that anxiety which is there with regards to when would I receive the payment.
Got it.
Also with respect to healthcare, like for example, there are other methods also, like let's say one-click payment, etc. But do you think in healthcare also people would like to use that? Because let's say I'm buying something on Amazon, something not very important, I might not give it a lot of thought. But if I'm buying medicines which I really want in 2-3 days, I'm not sure if just one click would serve the purpose. Like let's say in healthcare, maybe you would need a prescription, and so these methods would not fulfill. So do we have any kind of restrictions when it comes to healthcare?
I think not, because essentially how we operate, or most of the players operate, is they have decoupled the payment experience from rest of the process which is there. Okay. So it's essentially that after you check out, you land on a payment page, and then our purpose is that how smoothly and how fast can you check out from here and complete your transaction, and how smooth can that experience be. So all of what has to happen happens before the payment stage.
Okay.
Got it. So I'm going a step back again. What I was understanding, like कि काफी ज़्यादा industry driven है, मतलब like people will have, government or probably the regulations have to change. Like you mentioned कि UPI के आने के बाद that thing happened.
Right.
So are we seeing any trends happening जहाँ पे agencies, industry and the government have started pushing more towards these kinds of things?
Right. So I think UPI, when it started, the entire function and how it grows so quickly was the MDR was zero for merchants. So merchants did not have to pay anything to actually whenever the customers transacted, and that led to huge adoption among the merchants. And for users, it was all these Google Pay, Phone Pay, which made quick intervention with their marketing strategies and giving out cashback through which they acquired users. So UPI government had obviously the biggest role to play, and that's how it was designed. They wanted the entire thing, the distribution, to become massive, and because India did not really have its own payment ecosystem as such, and we are there, and most of our transactions today happen on UPI. So yes, a huge
UPI के अलावा are we seeing anything coming up? I keep on hearing like UK, US में there are things where people can phone के ऊपर कार्ड लगा के transaction हो जाते हैं. In India, are we seeing any those kinds of things happening?
Yeah, so I think even if we talk about just those contactless card payment which happen in India, I think Apple Pay, the RFID payment is still not happening in India, but the one which we just spoke about, contactless payment, wherein you just tap the card and it's done, that is there. And now we have buy now pay later as an option, which we spoke about that how its adoption is increasing.
Right.
And I think how BNPL is different from credit cards, because there also you get a credit line, here also you get a credit line. But the thing is that you do not necessarily need to have a credit history to actually get a BNPL option.
As compared to credit cards.
As compared to credit card. And the process is simpler. You do not need to go through the verification steps are lesser. And for getting a small amount of credit, it becomes actually a very good to have thing, especially for you would see its adoption higher among the Gen Z or millennial. And even when you actually read reports around it, you would find that it increases the spending of the users. So whatever they are spending is, they are spending 30% more than that whenever they are using buy now pay later option, because the thing that I have completed my budget for this month, but I have a credit line and
So,
I can make payment without giving any commission.
In a way, aren't we trying some dark pattern to actually change their behavior? कि मेरे को पहले ज़्यादा खर्च करना नहीं होता था, but now because I don't have that cash,
True.
and it's not in my pocket, so I feel like I can spend more and more.
Right.
In a way, we are trying to change that behavior.
True. I think it might have started with the good intention that people who essentially need a credit and have to go to having a good credit score and a credit history. So we are unblocking those customers from actually getting credit away. So that was the starting point of it. But obviously, as you start using it, you get addicted to any kind of beat. Even when we talk of other engagement apps, and so the same trend. But there are some bad effects of it. Some of them are also defaulters, and we have seen companies shutting down because of huge debt which has come in their books. So there has to be some sort of more regulation around it. Probably it will see further regulation, and it might just evolve for the better of the audience.
Got it. So one company that I can recall of Lazy Pay, I think they came way back.
Right.
I was still in my college at that time. I think they came, but they couldn't do much at that time. What are few BNPL things that we have come right now? And like I also heard like Zomato is doing something around BNPL maybe.
There's Simple.
Yeah. So I think.
Do you use any of the BNPL?
No, I haven't used. And
But why?
Just remind, I don't know, probably. So this is also an interesting fact that payment stickiness is very high. So when you use a particular payment method, you probably stick to it. So there might be 1 to 2 payment methods which in general audience use. So for me, I have not just shifted, but maybe if I just shift once and start figuring out that it is a much more superior experience, I might just shift back to it. I shift to it, yeah.
Got it.
Like I think incentivization also helps. Like I think once probably I was making an order, placing an order on Zomato, and it said if you place via Simple you get some discount. So I just used it once, and then I found it to be really convenient.
Okay, so you use.
So I just use either let's say Paytm or Simple. It just depends. But I don't know if I would like to stick to something.
But just observe that even you have options of credit card, you have options of UPI, but you stick to Paytm and Simple.
I think that way the payment system in India is, I think, quite evolved as compared to other countries with UPI and everything. There are a lot of ways to complete your payment these days.
Definitely.
Or send money to one another.
Now all the countries want something similar to UPI style.
Right, exactly.
So game changer for sure.
So मतलब I think अभी फिर ऐसे we were talking about tier 3, तो अभी शायद हम वहाँ सिचुएशन पहुँच जाएंगे कि यार ये यूजर ये पेमेंट, how does that matrix forms up?
Probably right.
Got it. Cool. So like you mentioned, like अब मेरे को ऐसा लग रहा है कि users और किस user के लिए क्या payment method work करता है, that's probably the area that we are going towards. So इसके अंदर have you looked at some क्या कहते हैं your personal experiences while you working on these कि यार ये users के साथ any example that you can remember from while working on payments?
I think not just, maybe I'll quote an example from the industry maybe. So, when UPI came in, nobody was making any money out of it, right? Because there was absolutely zero MDR charges. But it really amazes me that how Paytm cracked the soundbox thing, where you get that feature, right? Where the merchants hear ki aapke wallet mein 200 rupees प्राप्त हुए. So, and I was surprised to know that merchants pay a monthly fee for that, and that is one of the biggest revenue sources for one of the big revenue sources for Paytm. So it's interesting that how they went and understood ki what are the pain points of the merchants and what is it that the merchant is willing to pay for, and they built a product out of it, which essentially I think as of today some 3 million merchants use. And I think then different companies followed, and then there were similar kind of products in the market. But yeah, that shows that you have to also innovate inside it to essentially create more usage for the end user, which in this case was the merchant.
So that becomes कि मेरे लिए कोई एक सिंगल यूजर नहीं है जो पेमेंट करने वाला, वो भी है, बट बिटवीन दैट देयर इज अ मर्चेंट which probably we are not that much focused upon, but payment gateways के लिए शायद ज़्यादा important चीज़ है वो.
True. मतलब it depend. It's more of a thing which fintech companies have driven. For us also, it would depend upon how you present the assortment to the consumers. How do you smartly suggest that this is a one payment method which you should try, and I don't need to go back and look at all the 10 payment methods. So how do you work on that recommendation and make it the most efficient, and you drive better conversions out of that entire experience.
Got it. Cool. So now we'll jump on to the part which we call as the rapid fire.
Okay.
We'll give you one word, and you have to say whatever word that comes into your mind after.
Just one word, but like the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
Cool.
I'm a little slow in this game, but
it's okay. We don't have a hammer. That's okay.
ठीक है, we'll start. Very basic favorite digital product.
She was right about it.
Favorite, I wouldn't say, but yeah, something that I like what they do. Zomato, maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
BNPL.
Simple. Mostly from the feedback, because I don't use VNPL, as you know.
I'm assuming it's not simple. It's simple.
Yeah.
We are not doing any brand endorsements here because we don't have any sponsorships.
Okay. You can ask simple.
RBI.
Guidelines.
Discounts.
Cards.
ChatGPT.
Tick one.
One word, right? Super helpful.
Okay.
Lab tests.
CBC. Complete blood count. It's very technical, but yeah.
Okay. Speed.
1 mg.
Interesting.
Product management.
1 mg.
Then 1 mg. How will you define that?
Product management.
ये वापस से क्वेश्चन है क्या? Okay, product management. ठीक है. Jira.
Okay. Cool. ठीक है. So we'll come to an end. Let's just talk about like what's that one thing that you would like to share with the aspiring PMs out there and the PMs who are already working in the industry. Like one advice that they should follow or thing that you have learned here. This everyone should know.
Divya's mantra.
I think nothing specific, but I think generally what my learning experience has been that you sometimes need to step up from what you're actually doing, because a lot of time you get so consumed by it that you don't get a chance to view it from other lens, where a lot of growth opportunities or might be hiding, and you're just contained in that few things that you're doing and that consumes your day. So always take out some time to think about, what is that next thing, big thing that you would want to work on, and that's essentially how you'll create probably better products. You'll create more innovations around it, and it will also keep you more motivated than just being consumed by just the nitty-gritties of the day. So yeah, I think that
sounds good.
So it's like zoom in, then zoom out,
Yeah.
again zoom in and zoom out. Got it. Cool. Thank you, Divya. So that's it we have from this episode of the building blocks. I hope आप लोगों को भी काफी कुछ पेमेंट्स के बारे में सीखने को मिला होगा. हमें तो बहुत कुछ सीखने को मिल गया. On that note, this is the team building blocks signing out. We'll see you in another episode. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.